When I reviewed the Jabra Elite 75T, I found them to be one of the best true wireless earbuds in the market, specifically for someone who's heard in excess of 60 different true wireless sets and has reviewed in excess of 380 audio related devices. So when Jabra announced that they've got the 85T, I was very much intrigued to see how it would compare to its predecessor. Now, the 85T come in at a more premium price tag and offer a few different features, which we're going to talk about in this review. The earphones can be found for £220 in the UK and around $230 in the US. Links in the description below will take you to your localized Amazon store, and you'll find alternatives down there in the description. Now, also down there you'll find links to my social media platforms, so for example Instagram and Twitter. If you're on those, I'd very much appreciate a follow. It'll allow you to keep up with my reviews. And furthermore, if you're interested in keeping up with the latest news and reviews of all electric or hybrid vehicles, do check out Totally EV. Your support would be equally appreciated. So kicking things off, what you get in the box is the earphones themselves and a charging case, a Type-C to Type-A cable for charging, and a set of medium and large size tips. Now the tips themselves have got this kind of oval shape, and we'll touch upon this in a little bit in terms of comfort and fit. Now the case itself is slightly larger than its predecessor. You might be able to see it over here, but it's also a little bit thicker and slightly weightier as well, which means it's just a little bit less portable. Now the case itself does have a Type-C port, as you might imagine given the cables that's included, and a QI wireless charging pad at the bottom in order for you to, well, it does what it says on the tin really. Now the case itself will provide you around 25 hours of battery life, while the earphones themselves on a single charge will give you 5.5 hours, and that's with active noise cancellation enabled, which is pretty good. And now we get onto the earbuds themselves. Now the earphones still have these buttons, which I really like in comparison to some of its competitors that have touch control buttons. But the earphone size and shape has changed from the 75T. Here I'm not too much of a fan of it, because essentially they're a little bit bulkier and therefore attract a little bit more wind noise, and their nozzle design is different. Now this does affect the sound quality, namely due to the way it's inserted. You can see from the 75T it's got like kind of a circular shape and a slightly longer nozzle, while the 85T has a stubbier nozzle and one that's a little bit oval shaped. In other words, the 85T doesn't fit as deep, and as a result the overall bass tones are affected, and I'll touch upon this on the sound quality section. What I'm trying to say over here is that the overall design has been altered, and in my opinion not for the best, but they still do have good responsive button controls and are easy enough to place in and out their case, which is always a plus point. Now elsewhere we've got the Jabra Sound Plus app, which I think is one of the best in the market. Through it you can see the battery life of the case and the earphones, and you can also adjust the level of ANC. This is one of the features that they're offering. In my opinion, I think most people are going to leave it on the max mode or enable it hear through or off altogether, so you can do this through the app or through the button presses. Now you can see over here you've got a music equalizer, so you can adjust this to your heart's content. In my case I've reduced the highs a slight bit and the bass a little bit to give you the overall sort of tone. Now moving from there, you've got a little cog at the top right, and this will take you to another section of the app which allows you a little bit more customization. So for example, on the headset setting you can click the audio experience, you can have it auto pose enabled or disabled, you can have the call experience, you can enable the side tones, and also you can disable the equalizer for example, or have it as having more treble and prioritize Bluetooth, which is nice. And in terms of headset configuration, you can enable or disable sleep mode and also the voice guidance that are included. Then you can also personalize it, so you can have this tailored equalizer which you'll have to sit in a closed room and have it play. Personally I preferred using the controls myself in terms of customizing the EQ controls myself. And the mic controls over here, you can see you can customize for single, double and triple press on either side of the earbud. So if I were to press on one, you can see the functions that are available, and yes, you can enable your voice assistant if you so wish. All great to see, and the fact that you have that per different category. So for media, and then for incoming and ongoing calls as well, you can adjust what this does. So for example, you know, accepting the call, rejecting the call, or muting and things like that. It's nice to see that level of customization. And in the voice guidance, I've got my internet disabled right now, but you can choose between different languages. I've got it set as English. Then other than that, you can find your earphones. If you were to lose them, it'll play a tone, and other than that, you can register the 85T to your account in order to have the 2-year warranty. Now everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the Jabra Elite 85T. What I will say is that the 75T were a good benchmark, and here I think Jabra have done a better job in terms of lowering the overall bass tones and improving the mid-range tones. However, I do want to highlight a slight point that I seem to have read on across Amazon reviews, and that is to do with background noise. So what I'm going to do is play some music in the background. I'm going to be facing my speakers, my bookshelf speakers. They're going to be placed at the same volume. The song is coming from my friend, it's Priya J, and the song is called Falling. So I'm just speaking while the music is going, so it gives you a little bit of an indication. Now I'm going to go quiet. So hopefully there you were able to hear a little bit of the background noise that the 85T are able to pick up. By comparison, here are the 75T. So hopefully you'll be able to hear the difference between the 85 and 75T, whereby the 75T sound a little bit boomier. Depending on terms of your voice tones, you might actually prefer the 75T. In my case, I think the all-round sort of recording quality that you get with the 85T is better. Now, with the same test that I did before, I'm going to play some music in the background. So now Priya's song is playing through my bookshelf speakers. The volume has been exactly the same. Nothing is changed in terms of my setup. So I'm speaking while the music is there. And now I'm going to go quiet. So hopefully there you're able to hear a slight little comparison between the two earphones. I think they're pretty much on par. If anything, the 85T do a slightly better job of cancelling out background noise when you are speaking. Now with the recording quality out of the test, let's get on to ANC performance. And here I picked the 85T against its predecessor and some of its competitors. And what I found is that the 85T is indeed better than its predecessor, the 75T, by a slight margin. It's very minimal. Now, in comparison to its other competitors, say for example the Libratone Track Air Plus, or even class-leading ANC earphones, so for example from Sony, and one more, what you'll find is the Jabra Elite 85T simply can't keep up. They do not cut out that low-end rumble that you'd hear in, let's say, airplane noise, and they severely struggle when it comes to cancelling out mid-range tones. The 75T at the time of doing a review didn't have ANC, and it came up as an extra feature, which was always a plus point. But the 85T is kind of shouting about its ANC performance, and truthfully it really shouldn't, because its ANC performance is kind of subpar in comparison to other ANC true wireless earphones out there on the market. Now, I would also like to point out the overall fit does make a difference. You've got active noise cancellation and you've got passive noise isolation. And here I found the passive noise isolation of the 75T was superior because of how the earbuds fit, as I mentioned before in this review. And in this respect, it meant that the passive noise isolation combined with the mediocre ANC performance of the 75T resulted actually in a better all-round experience in comparison to the not as well fitted and passive noise isolation of the 85T plus their slightly bettered ANC performance. Hopefully that makes sense, but if you've got any questions in this department, ask me down in the comment section below. And now we get on to sound quality, and first off it's worth bearing in mind that the Bluetooth codecs you get with the 85T are identical to the 75T. You've got the SPC and AAC codecs only. At this price point, and very much like the 75T, one would expect the aptX or potentially even the LDAC codecs to be included. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and therefore you're not going to get the utmost Bluetooth transmission from these earphones. And at around £220 or $230, it's kind of unacceptable, because aptX codec would have really potentially boosted its overall sound quality performance. Nevertheless, connected over to my Galaxy S10 Plus, I had no problems in wireless lip sync delays or any problems in terms of it picking up the AAC codec correctly. Now, in comparison to the 75T, there are some comparisons that should be made in terms of the overall sound quality. It isn't identical. There's got the same sound signature, but they are fundamentally different in terms of the overall sounds. So first off, in terms of the sub-bass extension, the 75T sound a little bit better in this domain. They seem to extend lower. Now that could be due to the way that the nozzles are designed in order for them to be a little bit inserted further deeper. No matter in terms of your ear canal shape, the 75T will probably fit a little bit deeper than the 85T, which sit a little bit further out of your ear canal. As a result, the sub-bass extension isn't as well pronounced in the 85T. Now the mid-bass response is pretty much identical. Both have a good controlled mid-bass slam, and they don't sound uncontrolled muffled in the slightest. While they will sound a little bit subpar in comparison to the likes of the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2 in the mid-bass department, both earphones produce a very fun sound signature. Now as for the mid-range, it's a little bit of an odd one, because in the lower mid-range I found that the 85T had a slightly better presentation in comparison to the 75T, while in the upper mid-range I found that the 75T were slightly better. So really, depending on terms of the music that you listen to, the 75T might actually sound better in the mid-range department. Truthfully, on a whole, for most average consumers, the 85T's mid-range will come out a little bit more on top, purely because it's not as affected from the mid-bass tones. It just seems that they've done a better job in separating those sound frequencies via their drivers. Now as for the highs, here I felt that the 85T were a little less sibilant and a little less harsh than the 75T, so there's the EQ that you have to do via the app is less harsh. But as a result, there doesn't seem to be that sort of clarity and top-end extension that you got with the 75T. Instead, the 85T sound a little bit kind of rolled off at the top end and don't give you that same level of excitement that you got with the 75T. And finally, onto the soundstage. Here the two earphones are comparable in certain domains, specifically when it comes to instrument separation. Both of them do a fantastic job, although the width of the 85T is done a little bit better than the 75T, and likewise the depth that you get in terms of your soundstage with the 85T is again slightly better than the 75T. In comparison to other earphones out there, they do not compete with the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless or the Grado GT220s, for example, which are flagship audiophile grade earphones which have got a slightly wider and better soundstage, and likewise even with budget creative Outlier Air, for example, they just don't compete in producing that sort of wide sound signature that you get from them. So what I'm trying to say over here is that the 85T is comparable to the 75T, and in comparison to the rest of the market, it does a decent job. And this all really leads me on to my verdict. I was expecting great things with the 85T. I was expecting basically the 75T, but just bettered in every single domain, specifically given the extra price that you have to pay over the 75T. In my experience, however, I didn't really feel that. I felt that the 85T didn't have the same sort of sleekish case, they didn't have the same sort of form factor, and therefore the fit was a little bit different, specifically in terms of their nozzle design. The sound quality was a little bit different, and while it might be better in some departments, it's not as exciting in others. And it does have a slightly better recording quality, but fundamentally the differences between the two are not very, not very clear cut. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say over here is while the 85T is a progression over the 75T, in many domains, for me, I would prefer the 75T, and as a result, I would still recommend people to go out and buy the 75T if they want the best all-round earbud experience for the price they're paying. I think here Jabra have, not to say shot themselves in the foot, but kind of missed out on certain points, and given that they're charging more money, I think customers potentially might expect a little bit more refinement across the board. At least that's my opinion and my honest thoughts about the earphones. Let me know in the comments below what you make of them, and of course if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to see more, and favourite and share to help the channel grow. And of course if you're on social media platforms, do give me a follow. Alright, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care, and goodbye.